Wales with that magnificent 22-0 victory against England behind them. A bad-tempered game. They've not been hit by the sightings there, which there were plenty. They're still able to pick a full-strength team, and this is the Portuguese side, who've had a wonderful day as well, despite losing both matches to England and South Africa. They lost them both by just 5 points. And where's your money, Mike Friday?
Well, this isn't a foregone conclusion for Wales by any means. Portugal pushed England very, very close, as they did with South Africa. So Wales go in as favourites, but they're going to have to earn this win.
Wales setting their sights on a place in the quarterfinals before this weekend started. The first ever quarterfinal they got to was in the second round this season, back in George in South Africa. And on the back of all that hard work against England, here's the opportunity for Jonathan Edwards and his team. They're Portugal, all of them amateurs, but they take their sevens immensely seriously, and they have really competed in the opening 2 matches against England and South Africa. And just to make a terrific day weather-wise even better, it started to rain as Jean-Luc Robillard prepares to get this match underway. This is supposed to be the summer in England.
Brings back memories of Dubai, to be fair.
Not having ships sliding past the stadium just yet, but we're not far off. And Portugal in the white have us underway. Pedro Leal kicking off, and Wales getting their mitts immediately on the ball, and the giant figure of David Hewitt, who's made a big impact, enjoying his first experience of the sevens here today, the Cardiff Blues centre. Penalty goes against Wales. It goes in Portugal's way. It will be taken by Pedro Leal, who is the playmaker in this team.
Early little butterflies from Wales there. A couple of silly mistakes they can need to cut out. They don't want to give the Portuguese an opportunity to put them under pressure.
Attempted ball inside to David Mateus, didn't work out, and the peep on the whistle brings back Pedro Cabral as he looked for his second try of the day, scored against England.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting here matchup. I think the key man in all this is Tal Selly for Wales. If they can get the ball to him in space, then I think he can hurt the Portuguese with his pace and his power. And Jonathan Edwards, who always seems to be in the right place at the right time on his shoulder, just I think will be the deciding factor. Portuguese will need to cut those 2 down.
Tal Selly, 2 tries today so far. One of the more experienced players. I think that's the skipper, Jonathan Edwards, getting some attention, maybe just a little bit of cramp. It's a long, long day for everyone involved, not least the players.
Yeah, it is, and it tests them mentally, because they've got to get themselves up for a game, come down and then prepare again, and that's part of their development as young players.
What do you do in between games?
Well, depending on the times, obviously you take your recovery, but if you can get a sleep in, they'll get sleep. If they can get food on board because they've got time enough to digest it, they'll do that. But your off-pitch recovery and your body management is fundamental when you're at a sevens tournament, and is a fantastic educational process for these young players.
This is a concern for Wales, though, because Jonathan Edwards clearly a little bit more significant than cramp, because he's limping his way to the touchline, and he will hope, and everyone in Wales will hope, he's fit for tomorrow. Whether he'll be looking forward to a quarter-final in the main competition, we will wait and see, but that looks a little terminal.
That's a big blow for Wales there, because Jonathan has been one of their best players and has been leading from the front.
So one of our little mini scrums, a little crab, and Leal brings the ball away for Portugal, who are enjoying the best of these opening exchanges. Gonzalo Foru charges on, so does Thiago Giral. That's the try line. And Portugal must score surely from this. Lots of possession. Leal trying to create the space. Had Pedro Silva, number 6, up in support, but Wales have done really well. James Merriman making life hard, and David Hewitt bringing the ball back, but bringing the ball back illegally, so another penalty for the Portuguese.
Yeah, Wales can't afford a panic here. They've just got to trust each other in their defensive unit and try and close the space of the Portuguese.
They've lost their skipper, and they need some leaders here because Portugal are pressing. and they've shown against England and South Africa that they're beginning to find their way around this Sevens circuit, Portugal, and if Wales think it's just a simple cakewalk into the quarters, they might be in for a little bit of a surprise here as Leal went on the chase. Still Portugal keeping the ball alive. Cabral flicks the ball in and they have the first try, and it's Tiago Giral, thoroughly deserved.
Yeah, wonderful play by the Portuguese. They didn't panic. They kept possession of the ball, probed the short side, then moved the ball into the space and brought the big man on the crash ball, went through the hole. We'll see here, picks his line very, very well here, and he attacks the hole, and Giro is over for the score.
We've been saying all day that the bulk of this squad, in fact all of the squad, are amateurs. The bulk of them are students, fitting in their rugby commitments around their student studies. But they're giving the Wales the run around here, and the conversion from Leal. And this is an outstanding start for the Portuguese. Wales, who've been better used to competing in the lower level finals over the course of this year, winning the plate in Hong Kong and the bowl in Adelaide, but here's the chance to make it to the quarterfinals in the big boys event and to have a real tilt at the cup here at Twickenham tomorrow. But there's some work to do here. James Merriman from Neath, drafted in for the first time this season, fires the ball away to Aled Thomas, who plays for the Newport Gwent Dragons, and Wales for the first time having a bit of space and a chance to express themselves. Merriman takes the tackle. Terrific foraging from David Mateusz. This is where the rocking skills get tested, Mike.
Yeah, I think Portugal are doing a good job at the moment. The key here is that Wales actually don't panic on the ball, but Tal Selly again.
He's been Wales' man of the weekend so far. Not that we're halfway through it, but Wales really looking dangerous here. Little chip across field intended for Martin Thomas, and Martin Thomas gathers himself and scores, and really the first significant possession and territory Wales have had, and it brings them a try.
Yeah, I think again it started with Tal Selly on that far right-hand side. He'd been up the tram line, attracted 2 or 3 Portuguese defenders. They recycled the ball and there was space up the middle. A fortuitous kick, some would say. Got the luck of the bounce, but he's got over for the score in the corner to bring them back into the game.
2 Thomases combining, Aled with the kick, Martin with the score. Wales back to within 2 points, and Aled Thomas fluffing the opportunity to bring it back to level terms. But well, if we think conversions are tough enough in the rain, then drop kicks are even tougher. But this was the score, Mike.
Yeah, it's interesting. Good spatial awareness with the kick. Question the execution, but the bounce has gone to the man, so he's you could argue that he's done his job.
Wales 5, Portugal 7, into the final minutes in the rain in the first half here at Twickenham as tea draws on in London. Everyone around the ground enjoying their cakes. It is a marathon day for the spectators as well. They've had to pace themselves, but it's the genteel activity of cups of tea and slices of cake for the time being, gearing themselves up for the grand finale at around 6 o'clock when England play South Africa. 2 heavyweights meeting for what will surely be one last place in the quarterfinals. At the moment, it's Portugal who are scuppering Wales' hopes of being there. Portugal bringing the ball away with Pedro Cabral. Their number 9 is David Mateusz.
It's interesting here. Wales are just losing a little bit of discipline around the breakdown, and he's come in and kicked the ball away, and he's got a yellow card there.
It's a little bit of indiscipline from Rob McCusker. Another new arrival, made his bow last March in Hong Kong. McCusker spends 2 minutes in the sin bin in the laws of sevens, not the 10 as it would be in the big boys game, but there are lots of gaps and Pedro Leal is trying to exploit them. Pedro Leal might go all the way on his own, and a second try for Portugal and for their best player, number 4 Pedro Leal with the baby face, but he created that try all himself and finished it off as well.
Yeah, great stuff. I think Robert McClusker will be kicking himself because he's put his team under pressure there with a needless yellow card, but You know, this young fella, Pedro Leal, has been the heartbeat of the Portuguese side. He's a great little playmaker. He finds space. He's got tricky little feet. And as you see here, he explodes through the gap. Deceptively strong for a small man, but brushes him off there, and he's got support runners. Oh, there's a little bit of obstruction running, I'm sure, but nonetheless, it's a great score.
Yes, I think it was Tal Selly, wasn't it, who was suggesting that he might have been obstructed as he geared himself up to make the last desperate tackle on Pedro Leal, but it was to no avail, and Portugal, with their two converted tries, leads at the break by 14 points to 5, and we were warning at the beginning of the match that it wouldn't be the simplest of routes for Wales into the quarterfinals, and so it's proving. It's been a terrific year so far for Portuguese rugby. They really are riding an enormous wave at the moment, because the senior side have qualified for the World Cup, the 15-a-side World Cup, for the first time ever. They'll be in France in the autumn, and a lot of those players are involved in that 15-a-side team. They're coached by Thomas Moraes, who's the 15-a-side coach, but at the moment the problems all belong to Wales and their head coach Di Rees. No urgency in attack.
I think you're right there. I think Di's hit the nail on the head, but also they've got a big minute and a half ahead of them here when they're down to 6 men. They can't afford to go another score down, because of the fact that Portugal have got 2 converted tries means that they'll just probably be a little bit too far ahead.
Head coach Di Rees assisted by Gareth Baber. Both of those two delighted to be able to pick their most competitive squad of the season so far here in London. Only David Hewitt has no Sevens experience. Having got that squad together, that's what faces them in the second half. 9 points adrift. And for the first minute or so, they'll be down to 6 players, 6 against 7, with Rob McCusker still serving out his time on the bench. And that hasn't gone, it didn't seem to have gone 10 metres, but the referee Jean-Luc Robillard was happy enough for it to continue. Portugal secure the ball nevertheless. And this is Pedro Cabral out to Pedro Silva. Hauled over the halfway line and did well to get the ball back on the white side. Leal, scorer of one of Portugal's 2 tries, feeds Gonçalo Foro. They've lost control of the ball, and Wales can perhaps make use of the ball they wouldn't have been expecting. Tal Selly slipping in the wet though.
Just small little errors creeping in there. Even the experienced Tal Selly there just forcing the offload, when they've just got to be patient, not panic, get the 7th man back on the pitch, and then get control of this game.
Great to see Wales back involved, Mike, because for large slices of your time with England they weren't involved. There wasn't the money in Wales to fund a Sevens team as well, but they're really beginning to enjoy the benefits.
Yeah, I think they've realised, probably through the success England had in terms of the development pathway, the route it can provide for players. James Hook proved that for him. I think that was the convincing factor.
Now look at this. This is Martin Thomas striding away, and Thomas has his 2nd try, and all this, remember, with Wales man down as well, and the quarterfinals are still on for the men in red. Thomas with his 2nd try, and Wales are back in the match.
That is a very important try. He's done really well. He's backed his pace and he's just pinned his ears back. That's great speed. Great speed by the Wales number 7 there, Martin Thomas. Great score. Keeps his side well and truly in this game.
Conversion again drifts wide, which means that it remains a 4-point gap, which, for those with high-level mathematics, will realise that Wales still need to score another try to take the lead, but well, they wouldn't have been expecting that try, down as they were by a player, and that's an added bonus. That's
a big part of the game now. They're back up to 7 players. Try and regather this restart, and then it's they're back on.
This is what we've been saying all day. The restart taken by the team who scored the try. One of the few differences between the 15-a-side Book of Laws and the 7-a-side Book of Laws, but Portugal win back the ball from that restart, and the head-guarded Pedro Cabral flies on, and as he flew on, he lost what will become an increasingly slippery ball as the rain continues to fall here in southwest London.
Yeah, it's that kind of fine rain that does make the surface slippery as well as the ball, so core skills need to be on the money.
Wales have 4 minutes to rescue their quarter-final hopes, and that's a terrific scrum. Again, perhaps, well, the offence goes against David Hewitt for holding on to the shorts rather than the jersey, but they were struggling as well on the slippy surface as Portugal's drive came on. And they're like the little mini facets of the game, aren't they, Mike? We just saw a baby scrum there, and we're about to see a baby line-out, but it doesn't mean that the preparation for them is any less intense when you guys are gearing up for these games. They'd have practiced this situation in the last couple of weeks leading up to it. They'll have set calls for set positions.
Yeah, definitely they'll have set calls at scrum and line-out time. It's just a simplified version, really.
I'm not quite sure what the call for that one was. Whatever it was, it didn't really work. Pedro Leal got the throw wrong, or perhaps the lifters got it wrong. Either way, Portugal hand the ball back to Wales. Just over 3 minutes to go. Portugal still lead. 3 tries to 2, effectively. 14 points to 10. Taken on by David Hewitt. Big barrowing run from James Merriman from Neath, the number 9 again. Hewitt, who's really made an impact in his first weekend on the Sevens circuit. Taken on by Rodri McAtee. Ball bouncing loose. David Mateus trying to slow things down, and he's done very well. He forces the penalty. 2.5 minutes left, and Portugal will be in absolutely no rush here.
It's great defence there by the Portuguese players. They're putting so much pressure on the Welsh in these conditions, and just got the guy isolated and then affected the penalty, really, and they're just forcing a bit of field position here.
Well, they played each other last time out in Adelaide when they contested the bowl quarter-final. Wales won that day 24-7. They also met in George in South Africa just before Christmas. It was a bit closer then. Wales still won 17-5. So they've always been contests. And here is a graphic illustration of how the gap between those who seemingly have and those who have not is getting closer and closer.
And I think that's a testament to Portugal. They are improving every tournament they take part in.
They win the ball at the line-outs. Leal waits at scrum half. This is Cabral. Surely another try now from Portugal would end any debate and end Wales' hopes of the quarter-finals. But is this the moment of glory for Wales? James Merriman charges away, and he was hanging on to the ball because the support wasn't there quickly enough. Outstripped the support, and as a result, Portugal get the penalty, and we've just over a minute to go.
It's just inexperience by the young Welsh team, and I think Tauseli needs to calm them down. There's plenty of time in this game to win it, and they're just getting a little bit too anxious. Be interested to see what the Portuguese do here.
Well, Leal goes to touch. Might have had in his mind perhaps the opportunity to go for the 3 points with the kick at goal, which isn't always taken in sevens, but it would have taken them almost a score clear.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't have a shot at goal. They would have taken 7 points clear with less than a minute to play.
40 seconds to play now, and it's reaching critical point for Wales, but they've stolen the line out. They're going to have to operate from deep, but they know what they need to do. Portugal scrambling away though. Oh, and Diogo Mateus, the captain, was so close. 25 seconds left. Wales have one last opportunity to rescue themselves, and that was desperation. The ball was knocked on.
One opportunity here, one scrum. They've got to get the ball to Tauseli. He's the man that can open this game up for them. Hopefully they'll move their winger wide to give Tauseli the space to operate. I would anticipate the Portuguese to put a lot of pressure on at scrum time here.
Well, Wales may yet qualify, depending on what happens in the game between England and South Africa, but they would have liked to have sorted it out for themselves. We're into time added on. And it looks as if there might be a nervous wait for Wales. This has been the tightest group. Group D, Pool D, but look at this from Aled Thomas. If Aled Thomas can somehow get the ball away, then there'll be no worrying, because Wales will definitely be in the quarterfinals. Little chip ahead, James Merriman. Can he gather on the bounce? This is the opportunity for the quarterfinals, and James Merriman at the death, in time added on, has rescued Wales.
Wonderful, wonderful composure from the Welsh boys there. Thoroughly deserved. I mean, they've thought about it, they've seen the space. James Merriman's hung wide, and whoever put that kick across, I don't know who that was, but that was wonderful vision. I think we'll see here Tauseli, say no more. Wonderful, wonderful play by Tauseli. Great vision. He's been their star man all day, and he's delivered when he's mattered. Reese will be a happy man.
Rodri McAtee with a drop goal attempt he'll rather forget about, but it really matters not. Wales have dragged themselves out of the pit. They looked as if they'd messed it up until right at the death. Neath James Merriman came up with the try that means they are bang on course for the quarterfinals and a shot at the big prize tomorrow. Wales have just edged out Portugal by 15 points to 14.